being involved in the diagnostic process, and granted that you're a surgeon and a trained medical doctor, what were some of the biggest physical and emotional challenges that you had as you were starting to go through this process of, okay, I have breast cancer, now what?
I think the first thing, and this is, all of us are busy in our lives. It's just the modern way that it is. We're juggling lots of things, if it's professionally, if it's our kids' involvement in other things. And so my first emotion was, I do not have time for this. This is not going to fit. Because even though they don't really lay out the landscape in a clear way, which I think is, it's hard for the doctors, because I've been on the other side of it. They don't have an hour and a half to spend with every patient to explain what are going to be all the steps. So they start to tell you, okay, you're going to have surgery, you're going to have chemo, you're going to be incapacitated by chemo, then you're going to have radiation, surgery is going to keep going, and all of this. And all I could think was, how on earth am I going to do that if I've never been able to go to the dentist, or my primary care doctor? Where's that going to fit in? And I think that overwhelming feeling is really common, and the fact is, you rise to the occasion, you make it work, because you don't have a choice.
Right.
So that was, my main emotion was first just, this is not doable.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, no matter where you are, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, it's like you got to put one foot in front of the other. How are you going to do this? And you just start down the path.
Right.
But I think that the really surprising thing was that being a surgeon, though I understood the lingo really well, so maybe I could shortcut the conversations, it does not emotionally put you in a better place.
Sure, sure.
It's not, I operate on a lot of people, and I feel like I could really do well with calming parents down to have their children have surgery. Totally different when it's you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The C3 diagnosis, which to the layman may not mean much of anything. Why is that diagnosis so unique?
So just to invert it a little bit,
Sure.
So it's 3C.
3C, excuse me.
And what it is that, so cancer has 4 stages.
Okay.
One is, well, actually there's 0 stage, so I could take it back. 0 stages, if you're lucky, and you're just doing like a screening mammogram, you might find something that is not considered invasive, so it's kind of pre-cancer, but still needs to be dealt with.
Right.
Up to 4, where it has spread to other organs of your body. So in my particular case, when it was, I discovered this lump, right? So everyone was thinking, this is great. You found it before you had symptoms, but the lump, unfortunately, is a symptom. It just, you don't feel any different. You feel totally fine. With breast cancer, unlike leukemia or lymphoma, you're not tired, you're not run down. I felt totally normal, and then also, so everyone's thinking, this is great. You found it, you're still doing well. Unfortunately for me, once they did the final pathology evaluation, there was a lot of spread locally to the lymph nodes, which is the first place that your cancer spread. And once it's kind of the cat's out of the bag, you start going up in stages, and the kind of, the most advanced stage is stage 4. And unfortunately with stage 4, you're not curable. You're controlled. So you might live for 20 years on medications, but you're not actually cured.
Wow.
Whereas I was at the way end, the line.
Yeah.
So there's stage 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then for each stage there's A, B, C. So I'm 3C, which is not where you want to be.
No.
And when I was first going down the road, they were like, great, you're stage 1 or 2. The statistics are wonderful for those stages, but your statistics of recurrence and survival start to go down as you get later in the stages. So for me, that was more just this shocking revelation that I'm going to be dealing with this as a risk for many more decades.
Right.
Rather than we threw the kitchen sink at you, we took out all your breast tissue with mastectomy, we gave you chemo, we gave you radiation, you should be cured.
Right, right.
And that's not my reality.
Right, exactly, exactly. So you eventually treated this. Obviously, you went through your first surgery. You talked about in the book having some sort of romantic send-off with your husband, and also kind of the emotions that were going through your head. Even as a medical doctor, it seemed as though you were fearful of what might happen with this first surgery. What was that like for you?
you know, I've never been on the other side.
Yeah.
And I am so comfortable in the operating room. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a medical doctor, right? I'm a surgeon. Like, that is where I do my work.
Yeah.
And so you know, and anesthesia, I thought, didn't have the same, you know, scare. Every time I talk to a parent, they're always saying, it's not the surgery I'm scared of, it's the anesthesia. And to me, it always seems like, you know, anesthesia is just part of the process. Like, it's fine. But when it's you lying down on that table, and you're this vulnerability where, you know, you are just put completely under. Everything that happens after that point, you're not aware of, and you're putting your lives completely in someone else's hands.
Right.
Again, I deal with children, so it's a little bit of a different relationship. You know, I'm not putting adults to sleep. So being put to sleep as an adult was it was a very foreign feeling, and it was very vulnerable. And the romantic send-off was just a funny thing that happened where I played this in my head from the time I was diagnosed until the time of surgery. And then my husband like went to the bathroom right before they took me into surgery, and there was no cell phone reception in the hospital. Like, many hospitals don't have good reception, and my cell phone was in the locker. And suddenly, he just left, and they wanted to take me, and I was trying to stall, but they wanted to get the day started.
Right.
And I just was like, I guess I'm just going, you know, I don't get to say I love you, and I'll be back, and, you know, like, it just kind of ended abruptly, and so that was just this, you know, this comical thing where in the last possible second when I was drifting off to sleep, because I had texted him from the phone of one of the surgical residents, just my last-ditch effort to say, goodbye, I'll see you on the other side. And then he finally texted back, literally as the propofol was going in my vein, to say, you know, I love you.
Well, thank God.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know, exactly.